Everyone, welcome back to another 2020. I'm sorry, I almost said 2024, 2022 Senate prediction. So I'm just going around the country, filling in how I believe that the Senate map will play out. This is my Senate predictions for 2022. Supposedly a red wave year, but let's see how they do. Of course, Biden's unpopularity will affect this. I mean, the president, even after a State of the Union, is very unpopular. Inflation continues to be a major problem for Americans, and people are just unhappy with the direction that the country is going. That's what almost all polls show. I mean, even CNN polls, show that Biden is not doing good. So 2022 is probably going to be like 2018 but reversed, because 2018 was a blue wave year and 2022 will now be a red wave year. It all depends on the popularity of the president of the United States. So California and Washington would probably stay safe for the Democratic Party, and then each state has 2 Senate seats. So there are 100 seats in the Senate, one for each of the 50. I'm sorry, 2 for each of the 50 states. That's 100. So if we do this, the states of New Mexico, Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maine, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wyoming, and Montana do not have Senate elections in 2022. So that leaves the Democrats with 36 seats as of right now to the Republicans 30 seats. So let's get into it. So I will leave California, Washington safe blue. I mean, the candidates aren't even necessary to name. I don't even know who's running. Washington, California, white. Illinois will stay safe. Now, Maryland is a bit tough, and we'll get to that soon, and I'll tell you why. I mean, Connecticut, their governor's election is going to be really close. However, Richard Blumenthal is immensely popular here. He is running for re-election there. He will win. Patrick Leahy is retiring, but Vermont is a safe blue state. I believe Chuck Schumer is running for re-election in New York. It could be Kirsten Gillibrand, but I'm pretty sure it's Chuck Schumer. He's going to win by a solid margin there. So now let's get into some safe Republican states. Idaho, North and South Dakota, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Kentucky, and I mean, really, Indiana, I believe, would be safe red. I believe that Kansas and Oklahoma are going to be safe red. So, that gives the GOP a huge boost. Now, I also think that state of South Carolina will be safe red. It wasn't, I believe it was in 2014. I'm sorry, wait, no, in 2016. Yes, that's right. So Tim Scott is actually running for re-election in South Carolina, an African American senator. So he really will turn out a lot of African Americans, even though he's a conservative Republican. He still will, and that will be enough for him to win the state. Moving on to Ohio. I mean, Tim Ryan is, he's not doing that bad, and really, the Republicans all across the country are performing a self-destruct on themselves. They are primarying incumbents of their own party, and they're primarying them like crazy all around the country. In Ohio, in Wisconsin, numerous in New Hampshire. Well, that's besides the point. It's not necessarily the incumbent, but there's just such tough primaries all around the country. There's more cases of that, like in Georgia, especially Pennsylvania. That's a big one. New Hampshire, no strong candidate has emerged. All across the country, there are these divided Republican primaries, while on the Democratic side, they're not. They're mostly united behind a candidate, and that will help a lot. So really, states like Ohio, even though the Josh Mandel, even though Ohio is a Republican state, it went to Trump by wide margins in 2016 and 2020. Even though, but Josh Mandel, he's not very popular. A lot of people dislike Josh Mandel a lot, and Tim Ryan, a lot of people like Tim Ryan. But so Ohio, I'm going to make, just because Biden is unpopular, I'm going to make Ohio likely, but I think it's going to be very close to being lean. Chuck Grassley, I believe, would win by a solid margin coming out of the state of Iowa. He's been elected there ever since 1980, so he kind of has a base, to put it in good words. Oregon will probably be likely just because of Democrats not being that encouraged to turn out for their candidate. Now, Alaska is another very interesting state. Just like well, actually, you know what? There are three very interesting states: Alaska, Utah, and Maryland, and we are going to save those for last. All right, that is exactly what we are going to do. Going up to New Hampshire, mentioned New Hampshire a bit earlier. New Hampshire, it's kind of. This is a classic, or this is a key example of the Republicans having too tough of a primary. There are so many major primary candidates running for the Senate nomination. While on the Democratic side, they're all united against Maggie Hassan, the incumbent senator. I mean, she's going to be nominated. While the Republicans, they are so divided. This primary, especially in a moderate state like New Hampshire, is going to divide the Republicans between moderate Republicans and Trumpian conservative Republicans, that a lot of people will stay home either way, whoever is nominated. That will lead to a Hassan victory by a lean margin. I do believe that Maggie Hassan will be the victor coming out of the state of New Hampshire. Going down to Florida, Marco Rubio is running for re-election. I mean, Marco Rubio is so popular. I think that he's going to win by a likely margin. I don't see him having much trouble here. I think it's Charlie Crist who's running against him, but Charlie Crist could be the governor. Could be running for governor. But still, whether it's Val Demings or... it might be... it might be Val Demings, but I think Crist is running for Senate. I think that Demings is running for governor. Anyway... but Florida, I mean, Marco Rubio is so immensely popular. He's been re-elected. This would be his third time being this is his third time being elected. And I mean, he's just such a popular governor. He ran for president in 2016, almost won. I believe he had the best shot against Trump, at the convention. But, even though he came in third on votes, Ted Cruz came in second. Trump, of course, came on top. But Florida, definitely go to Marco Rubio, and I think it's going to be by like margin. I definitely see more than a 5% difference here. Going to North Carolina, the Democrats are going to nominate a African American judge on the North Carolina Supreme Court, and that really will help them significantly with turning out African Americans. They have a reason for African Americans to turn out and vote for the Democratic nominee. But really, with Biden unpopular, I do believe that there is an incumbent in the state of North Carolina. I think that will be too much to handle, and I think that North Carolina will go red once again. Moving on to Colorado, I think that Michael Bennet, my favorite senator in the United States, is going to win re-election for a third time. I think he's going to win by more than 5%, because the most likely Republican nominee is Eli Bremer, an Olympian, and experience is definitely a big part in the state of Colorado. They're going to want someone with a lot of experience, and Eli Bremer does not have a lot of experience. He's been involved with local politics, but he has not served in public office. He's only swam in the Olympics, So, I think that Colorado is going to go to Michael Bennet by a wide margin, and I really think that he's going to win just over a 5% margin. So, Colorado likely. Bennet, you might disagree with me here, but really, he is a popular senator. The thing is, Bremer does not have the experience. All right, that is my reasoning. Bremer does not have the experience. All right, going to the state of Arizona, I mean, I think that Kari Lake, my microphone, like when I say my P's, it pops. Anyway, going to the state of Arizona, I think that Arizona will go to. I think that Mark Kelly is going to lose re-election. I really think so. It's going to be a tilt margin either way if it goes Dem or Rep. And I really think that Kari Lake is going to win the governorship. I mean, she is well known across the state as a news anchor who, the local Fox 4, 5, whatever. She's well known around the state. She's a conservative, and she's going to know Arizonans' values. And Mark Kelly is not someone who's immensely popular. He's not one of these very popular incumbents like Maggie Hassan or like Richard Blumenthal, right? So I think that she will have the edge here. I mean, sure, she doesn't have experience, but she's she's Trump-backed. She will win all these Trump supporters, and remember, there's still a lot of not so Trumpian Republicans, but they are unhappy with Biden right now, and they will turn out for the Republican either way. So therefore, I do think that that Kari Lake will win the state of Arizona. Now, going to Nevada, I think that this will go tilt for Catherine Cortez Masto. What we have to that's the governor. Oh my God, what is her name? Oh my God, how is it not coming to me? It's not Masto, is it? Oh, it might be Masto. Catherine Cortez. But either way, I think that it will go to the Democrat. Well, we have to remember here, this is my reasoning. So go to 2016. Trump is leading in polls by 1 percentage point here. All right, he is expected to win the state of Nevada, according to polls. That was really a surprise to many, but still Clinton had the blue wall in her favor, according to polls. She was going to win the election either way. Turns out Trump wins, but here's the surprise of the election. Obviously Trump winning is the big surprise, but here's even more the surprise. Even with Trump winning the blue wall where Clinton was leading by 6 to 7%, Hillary Clinton carried the state of Nevada, even though she was losing in polls here. She won by 2.4%, not even a tilt margin. Fast forward to 2020, Biden wins by 2.4%. There was a strong Latino base in the state of Nevada who have proved to be so critical when choosing the Democrat when choosing the person who will carry the state of Nevada in presidential elections. And I think that I believe Catherine Cortez Masto is running for re-election. Is the Democratic nominee, unless she's the governor. I'm so sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna look it up later. But the Democratic nominee will turn out these Latino voters. If Hillary Clinton was able to, then another woman will be able to. And ultimately, Biden's unpopularity will hurt her enough to make it a tilt margin. See how Hillary and Biden carried it by a lean margin. It decreases. But I do think that she will be able to carry the state of Nevada. Let's go to Wisconsin. I believe that Ron Johnson will carry the state of Wisconsin by a lean margin. Polls are showing a close race between him and Mandela Barnes. I think that it will be close. But really, I think that Ron Johnson being the incumbent and with the administration being unpopular, I think that's going to be an edge all in itself. Remember, Wisconsin barely shifted to the left at all in 2020. It shifted about 0.5%, if I'm remembering correctly, maybe like 0.7. But still, less than a percentage point it shifted. It went tilt Trump in 16 and tilt Biden in 20. This is a Trumpian state. Ron Johnson, as a Trumpian senator, will carry these Trumpian Republicans, and with with Democrats unencouraged to vote, discouraged to vote because of the presence on popularity, Ron Johnson will have an edge in the state of Wisconsin. I think he's going to win here by a lean margin. Moving on to let's see. Yeah, let's go down to Georgia, actually. I do think that Herschel Walker will carry this state by a tilt margin. This will be very interesting because I believe that Herschel Walker is the strongest candidate for the Republicans because he is an African American. He will turn out, more than the typical 20% of African Americans that the Republicans win. He will turn out so many more because he is an African American. What we have to remember is that Raphael Warnock, his Democratic opponent, who is an incumbent, is also an African American. But what we have to remember is that Raphael Warnock is not very popular at all. Polls have showed that he is disapproved of. People do not like him very much. And remember, 2020 was a blue wave year when it came to Senate, governors, and presidency. I think that Raphael Warnock does not have the approval that he needs in the state of Georgia to win. In a red wave year like 2022, you need a strong approval to carry your state. And really, Raphael Warnock does not have that. He does not have that strong approval, and I think he will lose in the state of Georgia. All right, moving on to the state of Maryland. I was going to save those three for last. Going to Pennsylvania. I'm sorry. You're going to hate me for this, but I'm going to give Pennsylvania to the Democratic Party. I'm so sorry I have to do this, but I am. Here's the thing. The state of Pennsylvania, it on the Republican side, there is such a divided primary, and Dr. Oz is in it. A U.S. representative is in it. I believe a sheriff is in it. There are so many candidates in this race, and they are all divided. It's such a divided primary, and ultimately, like in New Hampshire, it's going to hurt them so much. But here's the thing. It's not just the primary. I believe that Dr. Oz will win. He has been leading in polls, and he's only increasing in polls, and I believe that he's going to win. I really don't see a lot of people trusting Dr. Oz. Most importantly, he doesn't have the experience. A lot of people will be concerned with his experience. In a state like Pennsylvania, you need the independents, and the independents are going to be very alarmed with the fact that Dr. Oz does not have the experience that he needs to win the Senate seat in Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania I will give to John Fetterman. I believe that he will be the nominee. I think it's going to go to John Fetterman by a tilt margin. I'm so sorry I had to give Pennsylvania to the Democratic Party, but really I believe that this is how it will play out. Moving on to the state of Alaska, I think that Lisa Murkowski will come on top. You might have heard, these three, the very interesting states. You might have heard this in the news lately. Alaska has a Trumpian Republican who is running against Murkowski, who will likely run as an independent Republican or whatever in the primary. I'm sorry, not in the primary, in the general election. And remember, Murkowski voted to impeach Trump in the second time. So, it's very interesting. But I think that Alaska, here's my reasoning for Alaska. It's a pretty moderate state. I mean, it only went to Trump by 10 points in 2020, and I believe it was about the same. I know it's a likely margin also in 2016. I think that Murkowski, a moderate, seen as a moderate Republican, a less extremist version of Trump, will be able to carry the state of Alaska. I really believe it. Because Alaska is a moderate state, and I think that she will connect with these voters most, and I don't think that the independent Republican, as so conservative as she is, will be able to gather as many votes as Murkowski will. Going over to Utah, the second most interesting state. So basically, this guy named Evan McMullin, who you might remember from the 2016 election, is running is most likely going to run as an independent. But 2016 shows that he's not going to do very well. Go to 2016. Donald Trump is so hated by Utah. They go to Ted Cruz, I believe, by the widest margin of any state. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. But I believe it was. I could be far off. But still, it went to Ted Cruz. All right? And so they rejected Trump like crazy. But go to the general election, and Trump wins here. Even with Evan McMullin wasn't running as an independent. Remember how Evan McMullin ran as an independent Republican, saying that Trump wasn't his party? Well, he came in third, behind Trump and behind Clinton, and that was pretty astonishing. So really, in a Senate election, why would he do any better? I think that Utah will go likely Republicans, more than a 5% margin. So going over to Maryland, so it depends on whether or not Larry Hogan will run for the Senate. Will run for senator. If he does, he's going to win the state by a solid margin. If he doesn't, it's going to go to the Democrats by a solid margin. It's a very Democratic state, but Hogan is so popular. He is the governor. But really, I think it's too tough to say right now. But I'm going to be on the safe side. I do not think that Hogan will run for Senate. I think that he liked governor, but now that he's term limited, I think he's going to retire for a while. Until, he possibly runs for president. I predict that he will. So Maryland, I will make solid Democrat. So the Republicans have taken the majority in the United States Senate, just narrowly, with 51 seats to the Democrats' 49. So if you enjoy this